Good evening. My name is Dion Waugh. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Boulder Police Department. Thank you all for coming here so quickly this evening. We have an update we'd like to share with the community on the Chloe Campbell case. Our first speaker will be Police Chief Maris Herold. That's M-A-R-I-S-H-E-R-O-L-D. The second speaker will be Deputy Chief Stephen Redfern, S-T-E-P-H-E-N-R-E-D-F-E-A-R-N. Chief Herold.
Thanks, Dion, and thank you all for being here this evening. We are pleased to announce that 14-year-old Chloe Campbell was located in a residence this evening in Thornton, approximately at 5. Boulder police are working to have her medically evaluated, and her family has been contacted. Appropriate referrals will be made to social service support resources. As our protocol for missing children cases, we are asking for the media's help to please take Chloe's photo down from all the websites and other broadcast channels. While investigators continue to believe that Chloe ran away, there is an ongoing investigation about where she was and what occurred while she was separated from her family. Some details are being withheld at this time to allow for a thorough investigation. We will not be releasing any additional details at this time out of respect for the teen's privacy and to protect the integrity of the potential investigation. We are incredibly grateful for the partnerships that we have in this state with state and federal agencies who, through a variety of investigative efforts, helped our detectives bring Chloe home. We are also appreciative of the outpouring of community and media interest in this case. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Redfern, who will give you a step-by-step investigative protocol that we undertook here at Boulder PD. Thank you again for coming out.
Thanks, Chief. As Chief Herold referenced, due to the age of the involved child in this case and the fact that we very recently made contact, there's a lot of things we still need to put together. We're not able to release a lot more details about specifically what went on. However, I do want to provide a little bit more context as to the investigation and some of the things that transpired since Chloe was reported as a runaway. Boulder police first became aware of Chloe's recent disappearance late in the day on October 1st. When Chloe's father filed a report, information about her was entered into a nationwide computer called CCIC-NCIC as soon as the initial report was taken. The case was assigned to a Special Victims Unit detective. In addition, a bulletin was sent out to law enforcement. Investigators worked with state and federal partners on this case throughout the past week. Boulder detectives met with representatives of the FBI again today. The National Center for Missing and Endangered Children, or NCMEC, has also been involved. Detectives had frequent contact with Chloe's family over the last week and communicated with several acquaintances of Chloe. The department received numerous tips about possible sightings, as well as reports of social media activity which were pursued diligently. Many questions have come up over the last week about Amber Alerts and why one was not issued in this case. So I want to provide a little information about that. The use of Amber Alerts is carefully regulated by the law. The tool is to be used in cases of suspected abductions and limited to the most serious of situations to avoid public fatigue, which could counteract the importance of these alerts. Boulder police had no evidence to suggest that an abduction had occurred. Detectives consulted with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation agents who agreed the case did not meet the criteria for an Amber Alert. Earlier today, our detectives again spoke to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and we had arranged with them that if Chloe had not been located today, they were going to put out a missing and endangered persons alert, which is different than an Amber Alert, but alerts national media, and it would be very similar to the press release that the Boulder Police issued on Saturday. I want to make it clear that the Boulder Police Department took this case very seriously since the beginning. We investigated consistent with best practices for runaway children. We followed all federal and state guidelines and went beyond these as much more time passed, out of an abundance of caution. There are indications that considerable steps were being taken by Chloe to avoid contact from law enforcement as well as her family. We, however, had indications that she was alive throughout the week. Police are relieved that she has been located. We'll now take a few questions, and just a reminder, we may not be able to answer specifics on the investigation itself.
You said there was indications that she was alive during the week. What were those indications?
So our detectives pursued multiple leads throughout the week. Many things with social media that were out there, and we were confident based on some recent things that our detectives were able to run down that she was alive. We obviously weren't going to rest easy until we had contact with her to make sure she wasn't in a bad situation. But we were never throughout the week had any indication that she was directly in harm's way.
There was some social media that was, we were aware that her friends were being messaged, but it might not be her sending those messages. Is there any insight into any of that?
Without getting specific, and I'll just preface again that as we put a timeline together on where she was in the last week and a half, if we find out that anyone had criminal culpability here, we could be bringing charges. Don't know if that's the case, so I have to be careful and not get too specific. But our detectives have spent hours and hours combing over social media, and we do know there were contacts between someone purporting to be Chloe and some friends.
Was she held against her will?
We have no belief at this time that she was held against her will.
Are you at all concerned about the rest of the public? I mean, is there anything they need to be warned about? I mean, there was reports that she's left with 2 men, concerned about trafficking. Should the local community and the rest of the metro area be concerned about that?
Sure, it's a great question, and at this time, we have no information that indicates that there's any public safety risk or any concern to anybody else at this time.
Are there any persons of interest out there that you're looking at?
It's too early for us to tell. Obviously, the big concern was getting Chloe into a hospital to be medically cleared to make sure she's okay, give her time with her family, and then as the week progresses, we're going to look more into that.
Is there any concern when it comes to where she was last seen around that creek? I know when we spoke to her family, they said that, there's a lot of drug activity in that area. There's a lot of kids that are being exposed to that because it's right behind the high school. Any comment on that?
No, we don't have any indication that the proximity of that creek and the path that came up earlier in the week had anything overly concerning at all.
Was she sexually assaulted?
It's way too early to be able to indicate that at this time.
Is it safe to say that she was found unharmed? Can we say that?
Correct. We believe that, we want her to be medically evaluated. She's only 14, but when she was contacted in Thornton, there was no readily noticeable injuries or anything like that.
Did she know the people she was with?
We're still investigating all that. There's a lot we still need to piece together.
What led you to Thornton?
Our detectives did some top-notch detective work today, working with the FBI. Some new information came to light that we hadn't had previous, and they were able to run that down today. That led them to a location in Thornton. We worked with Thornton PD to make contact there, and she was located.
Can you share that information that you have?
Not at this time.
Is she held against her will at all?
We don't believe so.
The 2 men who were reportedly seen with her, have you ID'd who those people were and ruled them out as any kind of persons of interest?
So we've spoken to quite a few people in this case, but we have no direct knowledge that anyone she was allegedly seen with, I believe that was on the creek path. We don't have any indication they're involved in this, but again, we have a lot more follow-up to do.
Is she going home now? What's the plan for her?
At this point, she is getting medical care, or at least evaluated, to make sure that she's medically okay. She's with her parents, and beyond those next steps, I don't have that information. Even if I did, I don't know that I'd be able to divulge it at this time.
Her parents were at the hospital with her?
Her parents are aware she was at the hospital. I'm not sure if they've made it there yet, but I'm assuming that was their intent.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.